Hello everybody, welcome to the Red Devil Experience. My name is Eric. Hope everybody is doing well. We got the latest Manchester United news. We're going to be doing a reaction to Ruben Amorim's press conference versus Spurs. We got some updates surrounding Kobbie and Zirkzee wanting to leave the football club temporarily on loan for the rest of the season for the next 6 months. There is interest in both players. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into Amorim responding to Ronaldo as well. Ronaldo obviously doing his interview with Piers Morgan. And we got a small update on Marcus Rashford and his situation in Barcelona and if they're going to make that deal permanent or, what are the key details about that. And everything else that's still coming out right now because there is news that is coming out. So we will get up to date on the latest news that is breaking as we are live. Please make sure you smash the like button. Get that done, people. It is important to the show. It is important to the channel. It gets us pushed out there. It gets us seen more. So if you want to support the channel, make sure you get that done. And also, if you're new and you enjoy the content, subscribe. We welcome you to the community and the family. Also, make sure you hit the notification bell icon so you get the noties when we go live and you don't miss the show. You hear from the beginning and you don't miss any show and you're always here. But other than that, let's get straight into the show. I'm going to start off with Ruben's press conference. And he had some interesting things to say, as he always does. He is a very good speaker, and I think he understands the football club very, very well. So we will get to that. Ruben Amorim was asked if they're a better team since the Europa League final, and he said, the characteristics of the players, we have different characteristics in our team. But we also have a lot of players who played last year. We are a better team. We played better, and we understand the game better. We are more confident. At this moment, we play with a different confidence. We manage better the moments of the game. But if you remember that game, they had that shot on the goal and won the game. I expect a different game. We can play better, but also have a little bit of luck to win the game. On that statement, I do think that we have improved from last season. I think we are better, especially with the additions that we signed in the summer. Sonny Lemons, Mateus Cunha, Brian Mbeumo, and even Sesko. So we are a different team than last season, especially from that Europa League final match. There are many players that played in that match that are still at this football club, still in the starting 11 that started that game. But we have different characteristics, especially up top in the front. It's three completely different players. They play totally different, and they're having huge impacts. And even at the back is a big difference. So, I think we have improved. It hasn't been an insane improvement. Like, you wouldn't say we're totally different. We still have some qualities that are not so good, that they are bad qualities that we still need to, sort out and straighten out in our team, in our squad. But we have improved, I think, in this moment, especially like Ruben said, on this sort of run that we are on, three wins and 1 draw, unbeaten. We are playing a bit more confident. I do think that we understand the game better. We manage the game better. We're not perfect. We're not ready to win the Premier League yet. We're not that sort of machine, but we are, taking progress. We are improving in that direction. So, I think, we just need to carry on this progress, and Ruben will be the first one to say that. But let's hope, It's another test for Tottenham. I've been talking about tests a lot for the past couple weeks. It's another test. The Tottenham was a team, new manager. He plays good football. They played good football at Brentford. I think that it's a test because they beat us 4 times last season, and they had Ruben's number and they had our number. And we are on the same amount of points. They're two spots above us in the table. It's a 6-pointer, and it's away from home. So it's another test. We're going to show our colors for how actually different and how much we've improved this season. It's going to be a tough match. But I think in this moment, we could probably go and win it. So Ruben was then asked, or said, that he said, I think we are more confident. We believe more that we can win any game, and we prove already that we can win any game. The last game was tough on us because in some moments we weren't the team we were supposed to be in every minute, and compare that against Brighton, it was a different thing. And I think that's another good statement because it brings up the talking point of we still have, like I just mentioned, we still have some qualities from last season. You know, you look at that Brighton match, we didn't dominate it in terms of possession, but in the way we played, in the way we controlled the match, in the way we controlled the match, in like the feeling, like we always felt dangerous in that match. We were dangerous. We took our chances. We scored a good amount of goals. We did have a mini collapse in that match, but because we were so good for the majority of the match and we scored 3 goals and we converted our chances and we took our opportunities, we gave ourselves a nice cushion to that, even though we did let up, the goals, and we bring them back into the game. We were still ahead, and then we managed to kill it off with that one more strike. The Forest game was different. The Forest game, obviously, we were up, but we let them, but we weren't up enough. We needed more goals, especially away from home. Our away form is one that needs to be fixed. Our away form compared to our home form is not good. We are struggling away from home. We need stronger performances away from home. This is why this is another test against Tottenham. It's another away match, and we did the same thing we did against Brighton, but we did it away from home and not at Old Trafford. And we did it against Nottingham Forest, and many of us felt like we had an opportunity to go win that match, and within 5 minutes we kind of blew it. And thankfully we walked out of there with a point, because we could have ended up walking out of there with nothing. So I think that aspect, in terms of defending, we need to defend a little bit better. We need to concede less goals, and away from home, we need to perform better. We're not putting in that strong of performances away from home. If we want to be a top team, if we want to be a great team, if we want to be a team that is highly competitive, we need to sort out our away form, because our home, we tend to do well. But the away form has been really letting us down. The away form has really been killing us. So we got to sort that out. And he actually speaks about in the press conference about, conceding goals and defending and stuff like that. He also goes on to say, we cannot forget we have a lot to improve. We are more prepared for anything to happen in a game, but we also know that we have a lot to do and improve to win more these kind of games and consistently win. We are capable and confident, but sometimes struggle in games. We do need to do better. I think we manage the game better now. We can change from moment we are struggling, also because we have players who can change that for us. The individual can help us. But if you look against Nottingham, we controlled in the first half, but the energy, you could sense it was not the same, and that's something you could watch at the start of the game. And again, that's pretty much what I was just going into. Like, we still need to find more consistency, and that's from match to match, week to week, but also inside of the game. Being consistent throughout the full 90 minutes. Because in both those matches, we won one, we drew one, but we lost a little bit of consistency in that match. We lost a little bit of consistency, in the way we were playing. We gave up goals. We allowed the teams back into the match. But, we were at home at Old Trafford against Brighton, and it was an easier game for us because it was more open. Brighton were not defending, in a low block, and there was more space for us, so it was a bit easier. But in Forest, away from home, Sean Dyche ball, low block, it was a bit more difficult, and we put ourselves in a bad position to allow that to happen. So, I think, but I think many of us said, and I think many of us agree, last season, from that situation, we probably wouldn't have walked out of there with a point. We probably would have ended up and going to lose that match. So I do think we have improved in areas. But like Ruben has alluded to, and I agree with him, that, we have a lot more to improve. We are not the finished article. We are nowhere near being, a machine that we want to be. And we need to continue to improve. So, again, another test coming up at the weekend, and we got to pass this test to show that, this is serious, that we have made actual big improvements and that things are changing, and we need to keep up this form. We need to keep up this feeling of playing good and getting good performances and being good and winning. So yeah, Ruben was asked about the injury record because we have less injuries this season. Now, I have my own opinion on this, and I've been stating this for quite a bit now, but he goes on to say, sometimes you have problems with players with knocks. It's not something, soft tissues, and you never know what's going to happen in the next training. If you play with intensity in training, anything can happen. But I think the big reason is one game every week. You can give an extra day to the players that that could struggle in the next training. So I think that is the big reason. And, I've been saying, like, you look at players like Luke Shaw or Mason Mount. I mean, they've been more fit, more readily available. Luke Shaw has been one that sort of surprised me because he's never done a full season in Manchester United. He's always missed a lot of games. He's been injured every single season since coming to United. It's not like he was okay for a couple seasons and then all of a sudden became injury prone. His first year at United, he got injured and he missed games, and from then it never stopped. And we have less injuries because we're playing less games. Like, it's just, I think Ruben kind of missed the opportunity to hit on that. I don't know why. Maybe he doesn't agree with it. Maybe he doesn't think so. Maybe he doesn't think it's a major impact. I do, because if you think about it, last year when Ruben came in, we were playing 3 matches a week. There's little time to train. There's little time for extra training. There's less time for rest. So I think simply because we're playing 1 match a week, it's just less minutes. So you're going to have less injuries, less stress on the body. And I would probably go to his point as well. You can give certain players that maybe they have certain knocks. You can prevent some injuries by giving them an extra day's rest, or extra day, or extra or 2 extra days. But I don't think they do 2 extra days unless it's really needed. But you can afford it considering the fact that we're playing once a week. But I think it's also just the fact that they're only playing 90 minutes a week or so, or some less, and you're not playing 3 matches a week, which we were doing last season, high intensity football, especially when you're in European competitions as well. So, yeah, I think that's the benefit of that, and also that we have more time on the training ground now. So, we got to take it for what it is. Obviously, we want to be in the Champions League. Obviously, we want to be competing for all the competitions, and trying to win every competition, but we're not in that situation at the current moment. So we just got to take what we got, which is, we can benefit from having more rest. We can benefit from playing 1 match a week, having more players available, having more time on the training ground. So yeah, he was asked on the goals conceded, and this is what I was talking about before. So he said it's a problem, especially if you see the league nowadays. The team winning lots of games is not suffering goals or shots on target, and that is a big game, especially when you have talented players. In one opportunity, you can score a goal and win the game, but I think it's more a team thing. We need to defend better. We need to be more aggressive. We need to defend better when we have more energy. We have a lot to do and cannot suffer the amount of goals we're suffering, which we need to improve. And again, like I just stated this and went to this as well. But we can't be conceding these goals. We are conceding too many goals. Our goal difference is only a 1. It's only at 1. And we've had this sort of problem at United for quite a bit of time now, that we can't seem to have a good goal difference. And I think the attack is improving. We have been creating loads of chances since the beginning of the season. This season, it's been more than last season. We are in a better position after 10 matches in the league this season compared to last season after 10 matches. I was saying for weeks that we need to be converting these chances because we're gonna win. That's how we win the games. But we need to not allow ourselves to get into situations. I mean, again, if it wasn't for that 5-minute period where we let in these goals against Nottingham, we probably could have walked out of there with 3 points and another win, and we could have had 4 in a row. And we did the same thing at Brighton. So that aspect in the team, that sort of bad quality, is there. It needs to be wrinkled out. Ruben is aware of it, and it's his job because he's the manager, he's the head coach, he's the whatever you want to call him. He's the guy, and he's aware of it, and he knows it's a problem, and he's called it out today. And I like when he does these things because, he's addressing concerns that United fans have been talking about for weeks now. United fans have been saying that, we need to be better defensively. We need to concede less goals. And even for me, I've been saying back to last season, a lot of the matches that I felt like we lost last season or we had bad results, we might have not played particularly well, but I don't even think the teams that we played were so much better than us. And we conceded a lot of shit goals. We conceded a lot of silly goals, a lot of stupid early goals. That thing has sort of stopped, but we still have it in our team to concede goals that I think are avoidable. And that if you are a top team, if you are a strong team, if you're a team that's going to be challenging for the league or winning the league or, going far in the Champions League and stuff like that at the highest level of competitions, those goals are goals that you can cut out. It's not like they're goals that, there's nothing you can do about them. There is things that we can do about them. We need to defend better. As a unit, I think Ruben is spot on there. I think the whole team needs to do a better job as a unit. I think they've improved, but we need to improve more on that aspect. So, and then we get to the part where Ruben has reacted to, Ronaldo's statements that we talked about the other day, where he said that United has no structure and that what do people want Ruben to do? Does he want, he's not going to be able to perform miracles, and et cetera, et cetera. Now, he responded to this, but he didn't really directly respond to really anything Ronaldo said. Like, it wasn't a direct response. His reaction to it was that he said, of course he knows, and he has a huge impact in everything he says. What we need to focus on is the future. We know that we as a club have made a lot of mistakes in the past, and we are trying to change that. Let's not focus on what happened. Let's focus on what we are doing now and we are doing that. We are changing a lot of things in the structure, the way we do things and want the players to behave. We are doing that, and we are improving. So let's continue and forget the past. Now, I agree a bit with Ruben here. I disagreed a bit with Ronaldo because I don't agree that we don't have any structure. I think that when Ronaldo was here when he came back and he was here in 22, I think we had no structure. And I think that time he was absolutely correct. I think Ronaldo's still kind of going off of what he saw and experienced when he came back to this football club. I don't think he's so up to date with what's going on at Manchester United. I wouldn't really expect him to be. He's Ronaldo. He's his own guy. And he's in a totally different league, doing his thing, still playing football. I don't think he's calling up anybody, at United and having chats with them or anything like that. And I don't think I don't think he really pays attention closely to the news. I think Ronaldo's opinion comes from the fact of he looks at where United were, and he takes his experience from that and where United were when he was here, and he looks at sort of our positions and our performances. And I think he still believes that, it's still sort of the same way, which I don't really blame him for, but I don't agree that it's the same. I do think that we do have a structure now. How good the structure is, we can argue all day and about it, but I think definitely the fact that we have a director of football, there's a technical director. We've changed so many things. We've gotten people in like Christopher Favell and other people, and just the way United is operating is totally different to when Ronaldo was there. So in that sense, I do agree more with Ruben in the fact that it's important to look to the future. It's important that, we're making the changes. I think the one thing that I sort of disagree with Ruben is we can't harp too much on the past, especially the people that are in charge of the football club. But they do have to, and I think they've been doing this, they have to remember those mistakes. They have to look at those mistakes to make sure that they don't make the same mistakes. And also look at how those mistakes from the past impacted us. Because we're still dealing with a lot of them at this current moment in time. We're still dealing with a lot of the mistakes that we made in the past. We still have to deal with these circumstances, whether it's players' contracts or stuff like that. So, we can't totally forget what we did, because I think, those are lessons to be learned, and you don't want to make those same mistakes. And I don't think that they're on the path to make the same mistakes, because I think they've changed a lot of things. But I do think that, we also have to look forward and we have to look ahead, and it is important because we've talked many a times, we constantly do look at the past at Manchester United. We talk about always the Fergie years, and we want to get back to that, and certain elements we can't forget, but we can't also just stay stuck in the past. We have to get, with the current times, we have to make a great Manchester United that is a modern Manchester United that can compete in today's game, that can succeed in today's time, because it's two different times. So we do have to focus on the future, and that's where I am. I mean, the club is making changes, and I'm quite encouraged by a lot of the changes that they've made, and I think there is a solid plan or a ground. It's just about execution and a little bit of luck, I guess, along the path and getting things right. So we got to go in that way. Axe is here, says hello. Says just finished eating, very good, yummy. Were you eating toasties today? Did you make some toasties? What'd you have to eat? Yeah, I think on that, Ruben, Axe, please don't come in here with political stuff. I'm not going to read that. There was something about Ruben that I wanted to pull up. Oh, I forgot to mention, real quick. Today is the day, by the way. I meant to open the show with this, but I completely forgot. Today is the day. On this day, 39 years ago, we, Manchester United, hired Sir Alex Ferguson from Aberdeen. And, as we all know how the story went, led to 13 league titles, 10 Community Shields, 5 FA Cups, 4 League Cups, 2 Champions Leagues, 1 World Cup, and a knighthood for Sir Alex Ferguson. So shout out to still the greatest manager to ever do it. There, in my opinion, is no better manager, and there probably won't ever be a better manager. And if there is, it probably won't be for a very, very long time. The impact he had and the transformation that he had, not just only for United, but for English football. He was sort of the guy that laid the blueprint for, what's going on now in the Premier League, and allowed these others that have come after him to walk. He crawled so they could walk. So, I think... absolute legend. We'll never forget him. We miss him. I think a lot of us still wish we still had him because it was so good under him. But, all good things must come to an end, and, new things will arise after that. And hopefully we get to a place where we can make him proud again. I think that's really what we want. X is no toast sandwiches for now. I ate the main meal of the day. Aperitifs, boiled salmon and peanut butter on crackers. That sounds very healthy, Axe, and very good. So, I like that. That's a very healthy meal. I'm glad he didn't say eat McDonald's or something. And then every once in a while, you could throw in a toasty in there. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with a good toasty. But let's switch gears, and we're gonna go to the Kobbie Mainoo and Zirkzee stories because Kobbie Mainoo, news coming out about Kobbie Mainoo and Joshua Zirkzee. Obviously, both at a lack of playing time. There's been a great discussion. Should they leave? Should they be allowed to leave? Do you want to see them leave? So I guess we'll start with Kobbie. We'll go to Zirkzee. We got this update from Fabrizio Romano saying that Kobbie Mainoo is still open to a January loan with his current limited game time, but it depends on United's plans. West Ham are interested and are offering regular minutes. Napoli also, who are seeking cover after De Bruyne's injury, because De Bruyne is he's going to be out for quite a bit, so they do need somebody to fill that gap over there in Napoli. And West Ham, they need players. They're in trouble. They need help. I think Kobbie would be a good addition for them. Probably Zirkzee would be a good addition for them as well. But to continue into that, West Ham have offered Kobbie Mainoo a guaranteed starting role. So, he is guaranteed to play. He is guaranteed to get a valuable and good amount of minutes. A 6-month loan with regular minutes, it does make sense. Like, we're not using him too much. I still hold the opinion that I would like to see him fight, but I've kind of resigned to the fact that, listen, I mean, if he's not going to get the opportunity, he's not going to get the opportunity. We might as well just loan him. I've kind of given up a little bit on that front because, I mean, to not play last match, to not get subbed in, even though we drew, but I just felt like we needed some changes from the bench. I put that onus on Ruben. He's a bit strange like that in sometimes, and that's why he's a bit hard to read because you would have expected him to make substitutes. He didn't do it. He didn't really do it. He did, but he didn't do the. I mean, we all thought, put on Kobbie, put on Zirkzee or something. But he didn't do that. So I think I would say probably the best for Kobbie at this moment in time is to probably go on loan so he could just play. So he could just play more. I don't really care about his whole England thing. Some people do. Fair play. But I'm more just concerned about his career in terms of growth, playing, and being the main guy for Manchester United going forward. So, I there's still that whole thing that, Mbeumo and Diallo are going to be leaving, and so is Mazawari for the AFCON. So maybe there's a chance that it opens up. But you know what? At the same time, if I'm Kobbie Mainoo, is that only going to be temporary until the AFCON is over or their teams are eliminated or whatever it is? Because, that's not going to last forever. It's a bit of a short period of time. And when they come back, what happens to you? Are you just going to go back to being 20 minutes or maybe nothing? Like what happened against Nottingham Forest. He got no time. So I think with Kobbie and Zirkzee, I think with Zirkzee makes a lot more sense because I think there's a lot more people in his position. And he's way down the pecking order. With the midfield, we are playing one match a week, but there is only 4 midfielders, and there's 2 starting, and then there's 2 backups. And obviously Ugarte is the clear backup for Casemiro because he's the defensive midfielder. Kobbie is not a defensive midfielder. He is not built for that position. So, yeah. Axe says he quit McDonald's, haven't eaten there for more than 3 years. Well, very good. It's not real food. It is tasty. I'll give him that, but it's really bad. I mean, it's so fake. Axe says we need to buy Endrick, Stiller, and Scalvini. Well, we're not going to get Endrick. Yeah, Endrick is done. I mean, we tried. Yeah, we tried to get him on loan with the buy option, but they refused the buy option, so they clearly don't want to sell him. I don't think Madrid is stupid enough to do such a thing. I don't think they're in a position that they need to do such a thing, and I don't even think Endrick wants to leave. You know what I mean? I think Endrick wants to be a Real Madrid player. I don't think he really wants to go to the Premier League. I don't think he's interested. I don't think he's interested to go anywhere unless Real Madrid tell him we don't want you, but I don't think that's the situation. So, Kendrick's out the door. There's nothing on Scalvini, but, maybe one day. And Stiller is a top target, and Stiller, we're going to have to wait probably till the summer. I don't know. Maybe there's a possibility that we could try to do something in January. I said yesterday when we did the live stream, I said for Ineos and for United, not to waste any time. I mean, if there's zero chance, I mean, what's the point? But if there's even like maybe a 10% chance, I feel like they should at least try to put in a bid in January. Test the waters, test the reaction, see how it goes. Maybe they open up to it. And if it gets rejected, it gets rejected. I don't think United should be embarrassed by that at all. Because I think actually for Ineos and for United, I think it's just an easy goal to score because we're so used to no January transfer business. If you at least try and put in a bid or two for a couple players and they get rejected, I mean, we tried. And I think that buys some points with the fans because it's like, look, at least they tried to buy the targets that we want or that we need, but January is a tough window to do business in like that, especially if you go for somebody like my guy from Nottingham Forest. So, because they're going to be reluctant to sell him to us. But there was a story yesterday that United were or maybe thinking about putting in a 60 million offer for Elliot Anderson in January. And I said, why not? Why not do it? Poke the bear a little bit, see if they move. Maybe they'll be willing to do something. Maybe he'll put a bit of pressure on it. Maybe we could get the deal done. If not, though, I mean, there's nothing you could really do. But I think it is sort of an easy goal for Ineos in terms of just go out there. If they don't accept those buys, maybe for Stiller or for Elliot Anderson, then we just move on to the loan market. And we get in a player or two, maybe like a Conor Gallagher or something. We use them for the remainder of the season and maybe with a future option to buy or something like that if it goes well and they fit our team well. And we move from there. So, but just moving on to Zirkzee, because he kind of goes hand in hand in this. I mean, Ruud Gullit has had a comment on Zirkzee, and then we're going to get into the sort of the transfer updates surrounding Zirkzee. But Ruud Gullit had this to say. He said he should have stayed in Italy because he was really striving. He was really doing well at Bologna, and I was hoping that he would go to Milan. I mean, for a lot of players, moving to Manchester United has been the wrong decision, and whoever leaves them plays well everywhere around Europe. I just hope that there's a solution for him. Well, I mean, to be fair, he's not necessarily wrong, but I would kind of counteract that as I've had these conversations before again, and I think when he says a lot of players moving to Manchester United has been the wrong decision, I think that I agree with in terms of that it was a wrong decision for them, but it was a wrong decision for us as well. I mean, a lot of the players that we bought, they clearly didn't fit our squad. They didn't fit the Premier League. They were a wrong buy for us specifically. And if you look at many of them, I mean, like we bring Anthony to the Premier League. He didn't do well. He didn't end up in another Premier League team. He's doing well in Spain. And he's probably, I mean, a lot of us alluded to that when he was here in his second year, that he would probably be best suited to Spanish football. And it seems that way. Also, I mean, the club he's playing for is not on the level of Manchester United. It doesn't have the scrutiny. It doesn't have the fan base. He's just one example. Rasmus has gone back to Italy and he's doing better. But that I assume that game suits him way better, So I think that for Zirkzee, maybe he should have stayed there, but he didn't stay there, and he's here now. And just to hit back on that a little bit, I mean, last season when he started, he was fresh. He struggled, He got booed. He wasn't playing good. He looked awkward. He looked weird. But as the season went on, he actually played a pivotal role, and he was actually important. Like, we were relying on him quite a lot. So I just think that this season is that season because we had such a large squad, and I think we tried to do our best to try and thin it down. But playing one game a week, again, it's very hard to find game time for every player, and the manager is going to have preferences. Every manager has preferences, and it's not because he views Cunha as his best friend. It's because he just believes that Cunha and Mbeumo fit his system and have better characteristics than Joshua Zirkzee for what he needs, and therefore, playing one match a week, I mean, it's going to be hard to get the game time in. So, for him, I guess, at this point, another loan, because he's not playing, and I think maybe teams might be a bit reluctant to go and buy him. So a loan looks like what's on the table. I said that I would prefer if he goes to a Premier League club, because I would like him to continue playing in the Premier League, because as far as I know and as far as I feel, we don't really have plans to actually sell him. Although maybe we do, and next summer, because when the window opens, then we can get different players in, and maybe that's something that they might be willing to do. But all right, Axe, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it, buddy. Be good. So I think that for Zirkzee, he needs to get out for sure. He needs the loan. He needs the loan, and he's probably going to get one. Now, to go into that, Fabrizio Romano also updating us on Zirkzee, so he's done a double today. Mainu and then Zirkzee. Joshua Zirkzee, he says, Joshua Zirkzee has still not presented an official request to Man United to go on loan. He's still focused on United. West Ham are looking for a striker, and Zirkzee is on their shortlist. Roma are also calling for his situation. Zirkzee behaving as a top professional, similar to Kobbie Mainu. And I think this is where the fans get a little bit lost, because they read that Zirkzee and Mainu kind of want to leave Manchester United. They're asking to be loaned out. I think there's some fans out there that they get very angry at this. I think they take it the wrong way. And, they end up in the camp of telling them, if they want to leave, let them go. But it's not that situation. They're not asking for permanent deals. It's not like they're causing trouble within the squad dynamic. They're not being Jadon Sancho. They're not going against the manager. They're not trying to disrupt the team. They're showing up to training. They're being professionals. If they get an opportunity in the match, they're going out there and they're trying to, give their best and make an impact and stuff like that. Again, this situation is purely just out of the fact that we just don't have enough games to really give the game time that they want. And they both want to be playing a lot more minutes than they're playing, especially, again, I'll say it, Joshua Zirkzee. There's many players in his position, and I don't think Ruben really views him as a striker. Now, I think it would be interesting, and this is why I would want him to go to West Ham. I want him to stay in the Premier League. I want him to continue to gain Premier League experience, and I think it would be interesting to see him at West Ham as a striker. I know West Ham are shit, but if you get Kobbie Mainu at West Ham and you get Zirkzee over there, and you have two United players, and they could both play tons of minutes in the Premier League week in, week out, I think that, that'd be good for us. That's a benefit for us. It's good for them. Maybe they actually get into, their respected national teams for the World Cup, and that way they can enjoy that. And then we can put this whole thing behind us next season. And hopefully we help ourselves further by actually getting into Europe again, and we'll have more matches. And then next season, we'll need a full squad, and it'll be a lot more balanced, and players will get the playing time, and there'll be more rotation and stuff like that. So, yeah. And then just on this, there was another update this is sort of a fringe source, so take it with a bit of grain of salt. This is, Fabrizio gave us the update, and he talked about West Ham, but also Roma. But there is another update saying that Sevilla in La Liga are set to make a January loan bid for Joshua Zirkzee, with manager Mateus Almeida viewing the player as his top target. Sevilla plan to offer him a star role, cover part of his wages and submit a competitive proposal with informal talks already started. Real Betis are also in the mix. So the one good thing about this is that there is interest in both these players. So, we do have options on the table. And I think, the more the merrier, because when we loan these players out, we want them to have a good loan as well. We want them to perform. We want them to grow as players. We want them to improve. So, one team might be better than the other. Now, this is the job for the people at United to determine the playing style of each team, and what's best for, the players, how they play, what characteristics they have, what kind of game time are they going to be looking at, and the level of competition in the league. I still say I prefer both players to stay in the Premier League, and play in the Premier League. I would like them to play in the Premier League. So I think for Kobbie Mainoo, maybe it's a bit different because he's English and he's, he came through the youth system and he's used to the English football and he's performed, quite well since coming onto the scene in English football. And so I think if he ends up going to a different country, it's not that big of a deal because he already knows English football. He already knows the Premier League football. And maybe it'll be a good experience for him to go play, in a different league, some Spanish football. Maybe he'll pick up some qualities that aren't in the, English game. Because, the Premier League is filled with players from all different types of countries and different leagues that they come here and then they tend to perform quite well or be exceptional. So I think for him, it would be good. I think for Zirkzee, it's a bit different because we got him from Italy. And I don't even know, he's Dutch, but I don't even know where he actually came up from. Somewhere in the Netherlands, obviously, but he's done 1 year in the Prem, and we saw how it took him a little bit to get adjusted, and now he's not playing, and it's kind of reset that whole thing. I think he's got to get readjusted again because he's been kind of taken out of his rhythm, out of the mojo. So I would like him to stay in the Premier League. I think it would be the best option for him going forward. We do have another update as well, surrounding Marcus Rashford. This is coming from Team Talk, so it's not Fabrizio, it's not Andy Minton or somebody like that or whatever. But Marcus has been performing really good at Barcelona and in La Liga. And this is the update that we got surrounding Marcus Rashford at this current moment, that Barcelona are planning to open formal talks with Manchester United in the coming weeks over the permanent transfer of Marcus Rashford. Barcelona reportedly hold an option to sign him for around 30 million euros. I would like on this, I want this deal to happen. I'm not one of these people that are trying to do revisionism or, wishing for Marcus Rashford to come back. I think that ship has sailed. I think it's rightfully has sailed. And I've always said, and I've always held the opinion that he needed a new start and we needed a new start away from him. I'm happy to see him doing good. I'm not one of these people that are bitter or sad or feel like it's a mistake that we let him go. I've seen what I saw with my two eyes, what was going on when he was still here in a United shirt, and I knew it was over. Again, I go back, and I don't say this to try and throw dirt on his name, but when I see a player in a Manchester United kit, forget even coming from the youth academy, but you could throw that in there and his whole life is basically United. I think that makes it worse. When I see a player like that, head down, not looking happy, and then I've seen him in matches walking, I think you can't say that there's any really way back from that. I feel like whatever the relationship was damaged, and I think it was beyond repair because he's just been there for too long. He's seen too many L's. He's been through too many managers. I think he needed a fresh start. He needed a fresh environment, which is what he's gotten, and he's gotten a fresh perspective, and he has some clear goals in mind. He wants to get back into the England squad, which he has, sort of. But he's also fighting for a permanent deal at Barcelona, and I think for him, when you leave Manchester United, you have two options. It's Barcelona or Real Madrid, really. And I think, you know, this is the only thing that he can kind of go to that's not really a step down, in his opinion. He might even look at it as a step up in terms of, Barca are in the Champions League and they're playing or they're performing quite well and they're, in a better state than we are. So, I would just say that I think, and I would hope United try and get the highest fee possible. I don't really agree with the fee that we have installed there, and I don't. There've been some stories or some updates in the past that Barca were looking to negotiate for a price lower than that, and I think that's ridiculous. So but I think the main thing is we kind of, for once and for all, put this behind us and everybody moves on, make it permanent, get the money in, and then we move towards the future and we look towards, what we can do in the window. This would be good for us if they do this, they said in the coming weeks. If we could do this in the coming weeks and get some sort of fee for him, that's only going to boost our chances of getting somebody in January. So I say the faster the better. I mean, there was talks about the same thing happening with Rasmus as well, and them speeding that up and actually making it permanent. If that can happen for us by the time we're like at January, that's going to put us in a very good position because I think we have some money available, but we'll have more money available, which can only improve our chances of actually getting a premium target in January, which is good because that's one less that you got to do in the summer, and we can use them now. And I will take whatever reinforcements we can get at always. And obviously, I think we definitely need a midfielder, especially also, if Kobbie Mainoo is going to go out on loan and we're going to let him go, then we definitely need to be getting a midfielder anyway. So, yeah. And now I'm gonna check because I think there's been some updates while we've gone live. So let me check that out and see what we got. Bruno has been nominated for FIFA the Best Men's XI. He's in there with. This is he's in the midfield nominees, so he's been nominated for the best FIFA Men's 11. And out of all the midfielders, he's in there with Arias, Bellingham, Saicedo, De Jong, Enzo Fernandez, Gravenberch, Kimmich, McAllister, McTominay, Musiala, João Neves, Ruben Neves, Elise, Palmer, Pedri, Rice, Ruiz, Silva, Bernardo Silva, Valverde, Wirtz, and Vitinha. So it's a good list to be in. I don't think he's going to get in, but we will see. We will see. And other news, Manchester United players arriving for training today. Lisandro Martinez arriving at Carrington. His comeback should be back soon. We're looking forward to that. I want the Butcher back. I think we all miss him. We've missed him for a long time. And it's almost going to be, if he stays fit and he stays healthy, looks like he's in very good shape. I think he's going to be a bit rusty coming back into the games. Maybe not. Maybe he surprises us all, but it might be a bit rusty coming back. But I think after a certain amount of time, he should be back into top shape. It'd almost be like a little bit like a new signing. I know we've heard that before, but yeah, I mean, with Licha, with that mentality, that aggressiveness, I will take that every single day. The more, the merrier. We need as many leaders on the pitch. And I just feel like with his mentality and attitude, coupled with his ability, you throw him in that pitch with what we got now in terms of, there's Euro, there's De Ligt, and then you got the likes of Cunha and Buemo, and there's Bruno, and there's Ahmad, and, people are fighting. I just think that it's going to do us wonders. So I'm looking forward. Sorry, just there was a phone call. Um, what else? Ronaldo did speak on Sir Alex, by the way, as well. He also said that, Sir Alex, he's a good man. He's a person that I'm always going to have in my heart because he really helped me in my life and my career. Father in football, yes, he was a guy who guided me. He was a guy who always maintained his word. A very good man, and I respect him a lot. Of course, we know, Ronaldo loves him. Um, he helped Ronaldo become who he is. I thought also it was interesting that, Ronaldo talked about David Beckham and, our legend, David Beckham, just got knighted and rightfully so. I have to call him Sir David Beckham now. And I've been saying I'm a huge David Beckham fan. And I've been saying forever, when are they going to knight him? Because I felt like he deserved to get knighted because he's Beck's. And, he finally got knighted. So congratulations to Sir David Beckham. It's going to take a little bit of getting used to, but Ronaldo had this to say. They joked a little bit. Piers Morgan asked Ronaldo, who's better looking, him or Beckham. Ronaldo obviously said him, of course. But then, he gave a serious answer, and he said David Beckham is a great man. He is a good man. When my father died, he became a father figure in football. He is a man of promise. I respect him a lot. And you know what? Because Ronaldo is a bit older than me, yeah. But I always felt like that. That's why I loved Beck so much. And obviously it's different because Ronaldo's a player. But I'm saying like like in a way Beckham was kind of a father figure to me as well. In that he was just the guy. He was just the guy that I wanted to model my game after. Yeah, I looked up to him as a hero. And he's such a likable guy. Like I don't know anybody that hates Bex. Maybe some rival fans out there, but I don't even feel like they hate Bex. I think, and I know one or two people that have actually met Bex in person. And I asked him because I didn't have the opportunity to do so. But I just asked him, and I was like, is he like the same guy? Being in the street or whatever, is he like genuine, or is he one of those guys that he's cool on camera but he's actually a dickhead? And they were like, nah, he's such a nice guy, he's such a sweet person. And I always had that vibe, so I was happy when they told me that, because they tell you sometimes don't meet your heroes because you end up disappointed. But I always knew that Bex was a good guy. And just something a little bit slightly off topic, but slightly Manchester United related. I know there's been some talk that maybe Erik ten Hag might end up back in the Premier League, but there's been an update saying that Erik ten Hag has been approached by Ajax over a possible return to the club as Heitinga has gotten sacked there. And this is from Fabrizio. Talks ongoing, but no decision yet by Erik ten Hag, who already didn't advance in talks with Wolves. So there was an opportunity that he might have come back to the Premier League. Wolves, obviously, they were looking for a manager. He didn't feel like he wanted to go down that path. I don't blame him, because look at where Wolves are, and I think it's kind of a lost cause, and it's very hard. They're fighting basically, I think Wolves will probably get relegated this season. I mean, I had this graphic here. And I'll bring it up again. If you look at this graphic, now I had this graphic for us, and it shows that, we are in a way better position after 10 matches this season compared to 10 matches last season. Obviously, Ruben wasn't in charge for those 10 matches, but Ruben has been in charge for these matches. But if you take a look at Wolves, I mean, they had 3 points after 10 matches last season, and they have 2 points after 10 matches this season. So I think Wolves are screwed, yeah? And even the fact of that, Forest are down there and they're on 6. Southampton were down there and they were on 4. And Southampton obviously got relegated, and so did Ipswich. Somehow, Wolves survived and ended up overcoming Leicester City in that aspect. But I think here, I think Wolves are screwed. I think Forest have the potential to maybe get out of there. I mean, they have, in my opinion, a better team, but we will see. But yeah, I think Wolves are screwed. But you know, if you look at this table, I talked about it a little bit yesterday. I mean, again, considering the fact that we had the hardest opening out of every Premier League club this season, and we are 8th in 17 points, and we are 2 points off of second, and there's a 2-point difference between 8th and second for all these teams, the biggest gap. And you look at where we were after 10 matches before Ruben came in last season, and we had a negative 3 goal difference and 12 points, but we were 11 points off of second place by that time already. So this season, the league is different. It is different, but also we have a benefit, and it might actually play out and work into our hands because we're playing less matches. We should be less tired. We have less injuries. So I think that this can benefit us. We are in the mix, and I want to stay in the mix. And we have a test against Tottenham. We're going to be doing tomorrow we will do a little bit of a preview for Tottenham versus Manchester United. We're going to break down, sort of the form, the statistics, head-to-head streaks and statistics and stuff like that as well. We'll also be doing a little bit of just some of the news that comes out. And then we will, it's Football Friday, so we could talk about whatever the chat wants to talk about or the viewers want to talk about. So, yeah, it'll be good. But we covered a lot of everything that's been out so far, so I don't see anything else really. There's nothing now. There's probably more stuff that's going to come out later today, as it always does. And we'll probably jump back onto that tomorrow and just hit that with the ground running. I'm just checking because I felt like there was a story. There was one thing that, United apparently tried to hijack Liverpool's move from Mark Gahey. And apparently the package offered by United is reportedly more attractive than Liverpool's. He obviously didn't move there. He's still available. I think maybe those offers are kind of maybe still on the table, and we're probably still looking to do that. But I did read that he does prioritize Champions League football, so we are aware of that, but we're still going in for him. There was also this other story coming from the Mirror saying that United are monitoring German wonder kid Kenneth Eichhorn, Hertha Berlin player, reportedly open to selling 16-year-old defensive mid for £17 million. I think that's quite a lot for a 16-year-old. That's quite insane. But I don't know anything about this kid. I don't know how highly talented he is. I mean, it might sound insane, but if you were to say, somebody like JJ Gabriel, if you were to sell him, I think many United fans would demand a lot of money. So, because they think that he's that good. So if he's on that level, I mean, it might not be the craziest transfer fee, but yeah, I don't know if this has any legs to it. We'll find out. I mean, United is always mentioned with everybody and tons of names, and a lot of it never really pans out. Yeah, it's a lot more misses than a lot of hits. So we'll see what happens in that aspect with that. But yeah, that was the press conference. That was the latest transfer news and updates around Manchester United. So good show. And this one was at a different time than we usually do it. So if you've watched this after it's aired, please get involved in the comments down below. Make sure you hit the like button. And tomorrow we will be back to the regular or the normal time that we usually do, which will be 8 p.m. or 8:30 p.m. I think I have it listed somewhere. And it's in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, you should join the Discord as well. But yeah, I think I put it down at, I said Friday, 8:30 p.m. British Standard Time. So we will be live tomorrow at that time. Football Friday, Freestyle Friday, whatever you prefer to call it. We will be live. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So everybody take care, be good, smash the like button if you're watching this video after it's aired. We greatly appreciate it. Also, we're trying to get to 3,500 subscribers. We're at 3,230. So, you know, if you enjoy the content, if you want to join us, join our community, join our family, and get involved in the discussions, subscribe, hit the notification bell icon. Everybody take care, be good, enjoy the rest of your Thursdays. We'll see each other on Friday for, you know, what I think is always a very good show and a very good day, because it's the end of the week and we get to just be more relaxed and, you know, a bit more free flowing and less news driven. So everybody take care, be good, thank you, and we will see each other tomorrow.